Hey, I'm Karissa. I run iVibe Records. I play drums in Lil Tits and a couple other projects. I live at a show space called Wally World currently, and I love collecting records and, you know, listening to records and talking about records and releasing records.
Sweet and tender, on me, baby, I surrender. I was merely drifting through before I turned that ear to you. Now I will find a feeling, yeah. Down a spiral reeling, yeah. Bright stars shining darkly, we are trembling in a fragment light now. Leave the downward world behind, alone we'll climb the mystic night now. I will find a feeling, yeah. Down a spiral reeling, yeah. I will find a feeling, yeah.
Today, not yesterday, today, Howl on the Haunted Beat You Ride by The Go. This is actually probably my favorite record of all time. This came out 8.5 years ago, summer of 2007. I was 16. I was living in Boston, taking some art classes, and I heard that The Go was playing a club down the street from where I was staying. So I sent one of the guys, John Krautner, a MySpace message. I said, "Hey man, I really want to go to your show. I'm like way too young to go. Is there any way I can go and like say what's up and hang out with you guys, check out your sound check?" So I got his number, met up with them. They were super cool. They gave me pretty much their entire, like, everything they had with them merch-wise. Got to see their sound check, got to take some videos of their sound check, which was, like, really cool for me at the time. Yeah, and they were great, and I had not heard this record. I think this was July 2nd, and I think it came out on, like, the 23rd or something. Not that I remember. But I remember going home and listening to this and just thinking, I'd kind of grown up listening to, like, a lot of, like, White Stripes and, like, early, like, garage rock revival stuff from the early 2000s, and that was all really great, but I kind of got to a point where I needed a little more substance than just, like, the Vines and the Hives and yeah-yeah-yeahs. And this, the first time I listened to this, I mean, I was still kind of developing my foundation of, like, I didn't hear the Beatles till I was 17. Like, which had, they have, like, very, very serious influence in this record. A lot of, but even if I didn't entirely know what was going on with this, it definitely just laid down a foundation for me to just get more serious about my, music education and what records I should really know about. I went on to check out, I instantly became obsessed with the White Album. Started getting a lot more critical about song structure and the way that, like, albums were laid out as a whole. That became a really important thing for me. I was maybe 12. I got really into the White Stripes. I just, my mom gave me a CD and I just never looked back. I had access to the internet at that point, and I just started looking online at their their influences in the bands that they played with, and one of the things that, or something that I thought was really intriguing was I was listening to the second White Stripes album, which came out in 2000, but the first one came out a year before, which was also the year that this record, What You Doin', came out, that Jack White plays lead guitar on. And it's very like loud, sloppy, like MC5-ish, like rock and roll, like heavy garage rock. And I bought the CD like at I think I found it in my local CD store, and that was again like a really huge like formative album for me. Not necessarily, I mean, it's great. I wouldn't call it my favorite record of all time, but it definitely influenced me to start listening to the MC5 and the Stooges, other similar bands. And then from there, I was like researching a lot of bands that the White Stripes played with, and that included like Soul Dead Brothers were a huge one, the Gories, the Dirt Bombs. I guess the Gories were a little earlier, but the Dirt Bombs are pretty huge for me. Co and the Knockouts, I like really love that record. So I guess from there, I got a hold of their second record, just like kind of like totally out of nowhere. This isn't the official cover, but this is kind of like a bootleg that someone put out a few years ago. Kind of came out of nowhere. I think there are only 200 copies that were made, so I feel really lucky to have this. But this record was totally insane for me. When Jack White quit the band, they hired a new guy named Dion Fisher, who owns UFO Factory in Detroit now, and he kind of brought this like huge like heavy space rock influence, tons of like Hawkwind, some like early Motorhead, Can, Deviants, like all sorts of bands like that. So once I got into this, once I heard this again I sent the band a MySpace message and said like, hey, if I like this, what else would I like? And that's how I got into all sorts of like crazy psychedelia and like krautrock and hard rock. And so then naturally, like and this was all maybe when I was like 14, 15, and then when I was 16 I got a hold of this one, and this kind of just totally changed the game for me as far as like really appreciating music went. It really taught me what to listen for and what works, how to like successfully meld all your influences without being tacky or too obvious or overt. No, they're actually John Krautner, the lovely man that responded to my MySpace messages. He put out this record last year, Fun with Gum Volume 1. Pretty cool, like poppy, happy bubblegum stuff. He what is essentially the go now, or was the last time that they were a band, is this guy Steve Nuara on bass. You might know him. He wrote that song Danger High Voltage. This guy Justin Walker plays in bands all over Detroit, and then this younger guy Ben Luckett, who's like a really fantastic drummer, and then John Krautner. But with Bobby Harlow, that was kind of the last iteration of the go. I know Bobby Harlow moved out of Detroit and he's kind of doing his own thing, but they've kind of kept it open. They've definitely hinted that there could be another album or could be another 10 albums, and there's no real no intention not to do that. So kind of keep waiting for it. Yeah. They put out this record. Their last record, Fiesta, came out in late 2012, again on Burger. That was actually another cool thing, is as Burger, I was really into Burger when they first started, and as they got bigger, they started to include like the Go in a lot of their projects. Like they put out this huge like gatefold record. They headlined a bunch of like showcases at South by Southwest the year that I went, or 3 years ago, and it was really insane to just be in this like strange place with like tons of people wearing like the Go buttons and the Go t-shirts. It's like, I'm just living in my head right now. This is like totally weird. I don't know, never see this anywhere else. So that was really cool. So hopefully they'll kind of get back at it and do it again.